Disclaimer. This video is for entertainment purposes only. Do not attempt this at home. Vitiated how to will not be responsible because you decided to be a cheap ass and not hire a professional.
On with the show.
Well, this is kind of a how-to and a story time all in the same thing. Well, I was in and out of construction. Well, let's back that up. Started my first job, actual paying job, was at Ponderosa. They had a buffet there. If y'all motherfuckers ain't old enough to understand that, Ponderosa actually had a buffet and it was pretty badass. It ain't nothing fucking like the garbage they got nowadays. It was really nice. So I worked there for a while, minimum wage, funny enough. I think I was making minimum wage for like the first 3 months. So then one thing leads to another. Then I get another job as a food server somewhere else. And it wasn't too bad. And then sometime later in 97, I moved to Florida. Naples, Florida, actually. Hot motherfucker down there. Coming from the snow. But anyway, I worked at, still working at restaurants. So I did restaurants till 98. And then, what the hell did I do? Oh, yeah, I went to Home Depot. I worked there for about a year. And then there was an ad in the paper for an electrical company. I was like, oh, fuck, well, because what I was making now, and they were going to give me $10 an hour, and I was making like $8 where I was at. I was like, so, well, hell yeah. So that's cool. I walk in, I talk to one of the brothers. I say, hey, man, what's up? He said, well, can you do this, this, and this? Well, fuck yeah, I can do that. So I did it. And back and forth. I got to learn how to use a bunch of different little things. Well, it ain't little things, so big things. Because I was a big guy. Still a big guy. So anybody knows anything about Hilti, they have chipping hammers. Yeah, I broke a couple of them. The big ones, too. Because they wasn't strong enough. And I was. So I did that for a little bit. And then I got tired of the bullshit because the other owner kept shorting everybody's fucking paycheck. I don't know if it was intentional, but I've known the guy for a really long time now. Yeah, it probably was. He's trying to hold on to the money, but there's that. So I left there and I went and got a job doing concrete. Well, I did that for about 6-7 months. And funny enough, I was making about $10 an hour. I mean, it was good money back then. But for somebody that had never done that shit before, ever, it should have been minimum wage. But good old Bob, I mean, he was a cool guy. He's like, look, man, here you go. And it was kind of a miserable job. But the good part about the miserable job is I got to use machines, backhoes, track hose, front end loaders, different little things like that. I'd never been on a day in my life. And I'm just like, you motherfuckers actually going to give me $10 an hour to learn on that machine? Shit, you ain't got to tell me twice. So I made sure I learned how to use it. And all the other people got mad and pissed off. The older guys did. And the guy just told him, look, man, he's got to fucking learn sometime. He was kind of cool, and I really respected that. So later on down, I find another job. Then I went back to restaurants for a little bit. And then I went back to the electrical company. Because the different manager, different things going on, and they've gotten better, and a lot of things changed in the company. So I said, all right, no problem, big deal. So I go back in, and I'm talking to a few people, and I'm doing this, doing that, and I get put on this job, and these motherfuckers realize I know how to use a machine. Say, hey, man, get your ass out of that fucking hole, get on this machine. I'm like, shit, yeah. Because when you start out in electrical, you're going to be a digger. You're going to be a digger. You're going to have a shovel or a pickaxe or some kind of fucking digging instrument in your fucking hand. That's just how it is. You got to do your time. I just got lucky because my first year I was in a hotel working, so I didn't have to dig a lot. And when I came back, I didn't have to dig a lot because the groundwork had already been roughed in for this storage place. So I didn't have to do that either. I just had to do the rough in work on the top for the different other things. So when I discovered I could use a machine, that's where I stayed. I did some electrical for a while, but I got to be on that machine and bark orders to all the other assholes that'd been there longer, but they didn't know how to run the machine. So, going down, we'll fast forward a little bit. Same company. Katrina hits. This is where bullshit comes in handy. I had enough common sense I could figure things out, and I could problem solve just about any fucking thing. So we get there, and if you're not familiar with Caterpillar, Caterpillar is a big, heavy machinery, heavy equipment manufacturer. They had big ass bulldozers, front end loaders, graders, all that good shit. And we were doing a job in Arcadia. That's where it was before Katrina. That's when the one hit in 04. It bounced up through it bounced up through Arcadia, hit Pensacola, and a bunch of other places. It ended up all the way in fucking Ohio, or up past Ohio. And I get up there, and I'm looking. I'm just like, hey, man, I want to run that fucking machine. He said, man, just don't get caught. Don't get in trouble. It's all right. So I get on this fucking big-ass fucking front-end loader. Never been on this bitch a day in my fucking life. Never. Never been on this motherfucker a day in my life. So I get up there, and I'm trying to figure out how to start it. And then this guy shows up. The refueling guy that puts fuel in all of them. It's like, hey, man, I've been in these before, but this one here's a little bit different. I've been in the older ones. That was bullshit. And I'm trying to figure out how to start this one because it's a little bit newer than what I'm used to. He said, well, this, and this. Boom. I got that bitch start, took off. So for the next 3 months, where did I think I was? Exactly. So I was getting paid $16 an hour to drive around in something I didn't have no fucking idea what the fuck I was doing. But I figured it out. And it goes along with these assholes complaining about they expect more for their minimum wage and this and that shit. And I'm just crazy. You're getting paid to learn something that any other time you would have to pay for. The machine operating, that school was $50,000. Last time I checked to go to the school for that. That was $50,000. I got the training for free. For fucking free. I got to learn how to do all kind of shit. Fucking front-end loaders, backhoes, track hoes, bulldozers. I mean, forklifts, scissor lifts. I mean, I got to learn all kind of shit. So I wasn't bitching about the $16, $17 an hour I was making because I was learning another trade inside of a trade that I could use somewhere else. If I got tired of this, I could go do heavy equipment. Hell, I got to learn fucking drive a truck and trailer. I got paid to do that. Fucking free. Big ass truck and a 35-foot fucking trailer? Shit. You ain't got to tell me twice. Never done it before. I did it. Had a blast doing it. Got a CDL. And I mean, I got paid to do all that shit. And it's just crazy. And so with that, because I'd been involved in that since the 98, we lived out on 10 acres. And I was always getting some kind of fucking machinery. Always. Whether it's, back up. Yeah. Same company. Got this real big ass fucking track hoe. I started moving tree trunks because the guy that owned the company bought some land up in Mississippi, and he bought a lot of land after Katrina hit. So I started pulling out tree trunks off the properties. Again, making $20 an hour, and that was only a year apart from the year before. $20 an hour to play on something I'd never been on before, and got paid by the goddamn hour doing it. I could work as much as I want or as little as I want. So it was great. All right, now let's fast forward a little bit. We lived on 10 acres. And on those 10 acres, I always had some kind of machinery. Always doing some different things like that. And what I would do is, my stepkids, I'd get them involved. Like my stepson, he was probably 11. First time he got out on a little termite. Which... a termite's an oversized little riding mower with a little front end bucket and a little backhoe. I put him on that, let him learn how to do that. When I couldn't get the termite no more, I got a backhoe. So I let him learn on a backhoe. When I couldn't get that no more because whoever had it wasn't doing it anymore, I found a guy that had a front end loader, a big Kubota, that had a backhoe and a front end loader too on the bucket on the front. So I said, hey man, get your ass up in there and fucking learn how to use it. And he learned a trade. I was paying the money because I needed the machine. Could I have done it a lot faster? Fuck yeah, I could have done it a lot faster. But him having the opportunity to learn on all these machines like I did put him in a different place like it did me. I didn't have that as a kid. I mean, I had different people outside of my family that different places I learned watching people do shit, and they let me go help them for free so I could learn. So that wasn't that big of a deal. But all you ass clowns nowadays, you expect to get paid for every fucking thing. And that's not how shit works sometimes. For something to learn, like the high trade that my stepson was learning, that's high dollar money to fucking pay to learn it. Because most companies don't want to hire you for that if you've never done it. Because they don't want to train you. Because it's more of a liability than it's worth. But the electrical companies, that wasn't that big of a deal. So he learned how to do the machines. And along with those machines, he got to learn how to be an electrician. At 11 years old, and I will knock shipyard electricians all fucking day long because they're lazy, they don't know what the fuck they're doing, and they will burn your fucking house down because they think they're an electrician and they're not. And their union is garbage. And let it be that way. Anyway, at 11 years old, this is no shit. At 11 years old, this kid wired up every one of the fucking lights in the attic. It was about 8 o'clock at night, so it wasn't hot. And it was the time of year it was kind of cool out anyway. He wired up every one of those motherfucking lights. I think there was like 20 recess lights. And the funny thing is, every one of them came on. He's also done different plumbing things. I've taught him how to do plumbing. And I've also taught him and his sister about other things too, how to do other shit. And funny thing, my wife, she got to learn a lot of shit. She wears a lot of hats too. She started out as a financial aide for a convenience store because they had a financial section. Then, at some point in time, she was a bartender before that. And then she went to hairdressing to be a cosmetologist. Then she was a medical assistant. And in between all this, she was an electrician with me, doing electrical. She could wire up a whole fucking house, a 1,200 square foot house, wired up by herself, and everything fucking worked. Wired up, do all the wiring, put all the trim out, all the receptacles, all the lights, all of it. And the motherfucker come on and everything worked fine, not a problem. And it's like the second or third time she's ever done it. You can't get electricians that have been doing it 5 years to be able to do that shit and not have a problem. But again, she had a good teacher. My stepdaughter, she got to learn a lot of different little shit. She didn't care too much for the electrical. She didn't like the machines too much. But she got to do other things and got to learn how to do proper housekeeping, how to clean and paint, clean apartments, paint apartments, and just different other little things she got to learn. So she got to learn a work ethic too. So yeah, this sounds like a meaningless 7-minute blabbermouth story. But if you listen to the evolution from the beginning to the end, you understand and see that all you ass clowns expecting $20 an hour out there for something that you know absolutely nothing about is not fair to the company or the owner that is paying these other people that amount because they know what's going on. And I know you're going to say, well, this and well, that. I'll tell you what. If you cannot count in your head my change back without looking at that machine and you're a cashier, you don't deserve more than minimum wage. Because when I worked at convenience stores, I did that for a long time too. At the same time, I was working at the electrical place. I could take you and tell you the price of everything in that store after about the second month. I could tell you. Because the most common things, it shows up all the time. Pack of cigarettes and a drink. I could tell you how much that was. Because all the drinks were the same price. They were 99 cents for the bottles, and they were 50 cents for the cans. So between that and the tax from where I was at, I could tell you how much it was. Now I walk into a place, and if it doesn't show up on the cash register, they can't tell me how much change I give back. Or if I give them, say it's $5 and 12 cents. I give them a 10 and 12 cents, and they're looking at me like I'm fucking crazy. They ain't got no idea. All you do is give them a $5 back and call it a day. They ain't got enough sense for that shit. And then, my favorite one of all is when they trying to count change and their fucking fingernails are 3 inches long and they're using their knuckles to count it. That's hilarious because they're doing this. Because they can't pull it out because their nails are too long. So back to you've learned what I've learned, small ballpark, and you've got to hear what my kids and my wife got to learn. So now, back to the minimum wage. If you cannot do basic math, basic arithmetic, and basic spelling to someone and have a basic conversation without saying dog and and you don't deserve the more than minimum wage because you're not willing to go further like we did, like I did. I wasn't the only one. I mean, a lot of my generation did that shit. A lot of us did it. I mean, hell, I had a buddy. It's kind of off the subject. My buddy Rosemont. I haven't seen him in fucking, goddamn, 15 years. This kid is a Haitian kid. He come over from Haiti when he was little. This little motherfucker worked 3 jobs, just like I did. Worked 3 jobs. And last time I seen him was 07. He had an 06 Ford Excursion and the first year of the ZX14. It wasn't stolen. He had loans on both of them. His credit score was 800. Why? Because he worked his ass off. In my opinion, about other things are lazy people. But the few that I've known that are my generation, we have worked our asses off to get where we wanted. Yes, we started at the bottom, and yes, it was minimum wage. We all did it. But if you don't have the drive and the willingness to get past that, and you want to stay in minimum wage, then that's your problem, not ours. We shouldn't have to pay for it because you decided not to make the appropriate decisions for your life. You want somebody to give it to you. With that being said, I just thought of it because I'm getting one of those machines and my stepkid's getting to play on it again. And he's now 23. So every chance he gets, he's on that motherfucker.